play the long game. Trying to come back, it's not the same. Friendships end over lesser things. You tell a lie and play the blame game. Scheming from the beginning, what did you think? We can't go round and round like a roller rink. Friendships end over lesser things. Keep it moving with the drama you bring. Not having it, stop running with. I'm not a little bit a fool. Acting like you changed, but I know you're on the same thing. It's okay, it's okay. Not having it, stop running with. I'm not a little bit a fool. Acting like you changed, but I know you're on the same thing. It's okay, it's okay.
Welcome to today's conversation with Alchemizing Energy. We're going to go into van life. So, I would say that van life became a thing. I would say it's always been a thing, but it wasn't like so celebrated. Homeless people would like leave their homes, go into their vans, stay into their vans, get like a place, fix it up a certain way, go and get cleaned up at the 24-hour fitness, live in their cars. And that became like a whole social media thing. There's a whole chick she's actually doing the van life the correct way. Um, but she's traveling around the world and this, that, the other. But I wanted to like actually do a show today and talk about the downside of this whole thing, because there's a good side and there's a bad side to everything, right? So, especially with women, I've seen stories of women, living in their van, living out their car, and then they go to park and you have people following them, circling around them. They're in Arizona, they're in the middle of the desert, and you never know exactly who can come up and be on some wild stuff. Now, this particular story is more in depth because she had been doing it for a long time, probably happy with her life, not having to pay bills, not having to do this, living out of her van. But then as she got older, somebody came along and was like, oh, okay, well, I got power of attorney of this young lady over this lady, and pretty much allowed her to pass away in her car. Now the children are left to pick up the pieces. So I really want to talk about this whole thing when it comes to power of attorney, how people can get access. So the same thing is happening to Wendy Williams, right? The whole power of attorney, people being able to access you when you get a certain age. And this is a really scary thing that can happen if you like lose your wherewithal. People can come up and like they can get control of you as a person, and then your family has no say. So I want to get into this van life. Let's talk about how van life she didn't survive. This lady's mom did not survive van life, and I want to get into it.
Okay, so this is where my mom lived, and wow, okay, shit. Oh God, this is also where she died, and I just felt guilty that I couldn't help her for like 20 years. And I think you throw good money after bad money, and you get all these apartments and houses, and you try to buy her safety and shelter, and you can't. Because this is where she wants to be.
Now, let me say this, is that a lot of times with this van life thing, it become addictive, right? You're not have to worry about bills, whatever. You have that car, it's paid off. You're just living in this car, and it's cool, right? I just know I could just park right here, park in different parking lots, whatever, and I don't have to worry about stuff. But the thing is, when you get older, so she's been doing this for 20 years, right? And now she's older. And what happens, she meet a person, and the person is probably like homeless too, but she's got a little bit more smarts. I don't know exactly what the story is, but we're going to get into that story. We're going to find out more information. So let's go. And just to say this has to be heartbreaking for a child to discovered her mom's, her place where she lived at. This is probably she has a futon. It's really like almost like a hoarder, but within a van. It's got to be very heart wrenching for this lady to like go through.
So this is a video I don't think any creator ever wants to do. And I've learned that in a creator's journey, that your personal life, whether you want to or not, your personal life gets heavily intertwined with your public life. And that means there's just some things that you cannot hide and you cannot keep away from the public. So as the title says, my mom lived the van life, and she died in the van. So I thought that was really important to share with you guys, to talk about van life culture, what actually happened, why this is like important, and especially for women, especially with the economy and a lot of people looking for alternative housing. I thought this was just a really important topic and an important piece of content to talk about and to share with you guys. So I'm going to start with how this all happened, how I found out about this, and then I will backtrack to why she decided to live in the van and the van life and all that stuff. So I think the context is really important. So on Mother's Day of 2024, so this is just a month ago from about today when I'm posting this video, I got a call that my mother was found in a van, deceased in a van, or as we say on the internet, unalive, in a van in Hampton Roads, Virginia. And she had been there for a little over a month, or roughly about a month. And so the van was covered in maggots and flies, and the body was there for a very long time. And so my brother went there and called the medical examiner's office and had them remove the body and so forth. So I flew out to Virginia and to help my brother, obviously, and to help wrap up the circumstances around my mother's death. We spent hours cleaning out this van.
Yeah. So as I was saying, here we are. We're going to.
Man, listen, this has to be the saddest thing for a child to have to go through. Shouts out to her. Thank you for actually allowing people to see the inside. The good side of van life is when they show you they're traveling around the world, they're seeing the sights, they're able to park here and park there, and they're living their life. But the bad side of it is this, okay? If something happens to you, you could be sitting there for months and nobody will know, because, if you have a house or an apartment, you invite friends over, you're in touch with people, this, that, the other. When you're in this type of situation, you can go park somewhere and no one probably even knows where you're parked at. You're not stationary. You're not like stable. So that's like kind of the downside to this van side life thing. So let's go.
This courtyard. And fuck. This is her trailer. Right here. This is the trailer that she had hitched to the back of her van, and this is the van, and this is the van that she was living in. So the reason why we're putting on a hazmat suit is because she died in this van, and her body was there for a month, maybe, and after a month, the body starts to, decay, and all kinds of shit happens, especially like flies. So the van is full of flies and maggots, and we have to move this van, but to drive it means that we got to air out the flies.
I couldn't imagine having kids and passing like this and being gone for this amount of time. So as you can see, now let me tell you something about this kind of a van, right? So van life, right? This type of a van, that's not no cheap van. So it's not like these people that are living van life are living a cheap. That van can probably go for $50K to $100K. Some of those vans are very expensive, right? So it wasn't like the mom was a vagabond or whatever. She had enough money to like say, you know what, I would prefer to just get a van and live out the van, So this is not a cheap van, okay? This van right here probably can go for 50 to 100, depending on. I haven't seen the inside of it, but this is not a cheap. These vans are not cheap. So she's staying in this van, right? But so she's not like a homeless person per se. So this is not like a tale of a person finding their homeless mother. No, this is a person Their mother specifically went out to live van life. They wanted their mom, decided, go off grid, live van life, this, that, the other. Thank you, thank you, Into. Thank you. I've got to move. But yeah, I want to let you guys know, because a lot of people are consider. I've even considered it, but this is showing the other side of what can happen. So let's go into it. Let's look at what the kids have to go through when they find their parent in this situation. Let's go.
Before that happens, you could smell it, and actually you can smell it like just standing here. You could smell the inside of the car. It smells pretty gross. It's very strong, which is not great. Not a good feeling here. So those are the flies. Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. Oh God. Wow. Oh. Oh. Oh God. It smells terrible. Okay. So that door's open. Hey. Okay. 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 Okay.
Here's another difference. If you pass away in your home, you can get people to clean out the home. There's like actually a special service that'll come clean out the home. But in this case, the parent died inside the van that she was living in. I don't think there's a service for that. So guess who has to clean that up? Her children. So she's up there with a hazmat suit on, because she's the one who has to deal with it. And that it's so unfair. So
as you can see, it was really a mess, and obviously, like, there was stuff everywhere, and and just like you would imagine when you find an unalive body in a van, and so we spent hours doing this. We're just trying to find clues as to what happened, why she was in that van, whether somebody had hurt her, whether she died of natural causes, and so forth and so on. Now, after we're cleaning up the van, and we're thinking that we pretty much have wrapped up everything, and we've gone through everything, we've kind of figured out like who to notify, what was important to keep, what documentation. We talked to the detective on the case, we had talked to the medical examiner's office and everything, and we kind of thought we had wrapped up everything. And then we get a phone call from a woman claiming that she had power of attorney over our mother. And she claims that my mom gave her power of attorney, and that she has all, and somehow she's come into having all of my mother's belongings. And my first question to this woman is, well, if you have power of attorney, then why was my mother unalive in a van for like a month? Because if you have power of attorney, then you should have been in touch with her on a regular basis, and you would have known that she was no longer with us. And this came as a complete surprise to us, because our mom did not like anybody controlling her. Our mom would not give up willingly power of attorney to anyone. And so we thought that was kind of bizarre. This is just one big scam. And this is the thing about van life, is that there are people watching that could be watching, and you don't really know who is following you, who has been keeping an eye on you, or anything like that. And that is very dangerous, because it puts you in a very vulnerable place. Now, I am not a van life expert, so I cannot tell you what the safety measures are, but I think that most people, when you hear this story, it's just one more anecdote of why you need to be careful. I think one of the biggest issues with van life is that people don't take seriously enough that it's not like the overt predators that come after you. It's not the people with big knives and the big men that come after you. It's people that try to take your identity. It's people that see you alone, living in your van, that they see you in a vulnerable place, and they assume that you're lonely, and they assume that you need a friend. And sometimes that's true. In a lot of cases, that's true. You need someone to talk to. And they prey on your vulnerability. They prey on the fact that you're alone, or maybe you get sick and you need a little help. And then they take advantage of that, and the advantage just grows and grows and grows. And next thing you know, they're in your personal life. They're in your house. They're in your van with you. They're going through your personal items. They know your name. They know your social security number. They know, your family, or they can go through your phone and stuff like that. And then they just seep more and more into your life, and they just do things like what has happened with us and our mother. And so I think one of the biggest things with this is to be careful about the people that attach themselves to you. My mother was a beautiful, energetic, vivacious person who at the end of her life got sick, and she got stuck in her van. In some capacity, we don't know all of the details, but she, for some reason, could not get out of her van. And these people, whoever they are, they saw an opportunity, and they saw an opportunity to take advantage of someone, and when they were in a very vulnerable place, and they used it. And so I think that is something that people need to think about more, because I think In America, with technology and with social media, we have this idea that we're all very safe and that our information is secured and that our privacy is secured in a lot of ways that it's not. So there are a lot of, I guess you could call them scam artists out there that prey on people. And there are a lot of people that are too embarrassed to talk about it. They're too ashamed to talk about it. A lot of families out there that have children, that have parents that have been conned, and they are too afraid to talk about it. They're too afraid to make a YouTube video. They don't want to show their parents in a vulnerable situation like this, where they were living in their van and they seem to have fallen on hard times.
And here's another thing. I'm going to say this about mental illness. So a lot of times we just toss away our mentally ill loved ones, and then they end up living this way, right? And it's not that I think that she tossed her away, but I mean, sometimes like they will be very adamant about how they want to live and what they want to do in their life. And you have to at some point say, okay, right? You have to be hands off, let them do what they feel like they want to do. And so as a daughter, as a child, there's only but so much you could tell your mother who's doing this. So let's go.
And, and had no one to count on and somebody preyed on them. It can hurt a lot of people. But I do think that the more people that do not feel shame around this, that feel brave, and that feel like they can come out with their story, the more these things are going to come to light. And I think in today's age with YouTube and with social media in general, that we should talk about these things. There's no shame in talking about them. My mother decided to live in a van in 2019. And while she was living in that van, she wanted to travel the country. My mother was handicapped. She had rheumatoid arthritis. She had it since she was a juvenile. My mom oftentimes walked with a walker. She sometimes had mental illness issues. And that drove people away from her. She also was an heiress to a Texas oil fortune. It is the Taylor Stevenson Ranch in Houston, Texas. And the inheritance from that is what enabled my mother to support herself for many years. And that's what enabled her to buy this van. That's what enabled her to travel around the country. And my mother was very proud of her lineage. She was very proud of her father, who enabled us to have access to this inheritance. She was very proud of that. And she sadly would tell anybody that was interested in listening about her father. She would tell anyone who was listening about Texas and about the family oil and about the land and about the history and about the legacy, because she was very.
And I'm sure that people probably thought that she was homeless, right? She's living out of a van. They're probably thinking, oh, you're homeless. Oh, poor person. She's like, no, I'm just making this choice. My father's a big oil tycoon, whatever, letting everybody know all her business, whatever. And so therefore they began to prey on her. And let's go further into it. Let's go.
Very proud of it. But at the same time, this attracted a lot of unsavory people throughout her life. And you can say that this was her fault and this was her responsibility. And you're right. Some of it is her fault and her responsibility for talking too much and for attracting these people, and also for not being a better filter. But at the same time, someone did break the law by claiming to have power of attorney over her when they clearly did not, and by utilizing her or using her to gain access to her resources. So I think they're two separate things. And I think that the latter thing is a very real thing that can happen to anyone. And if you're out there and you're living the van life, you're in the public eye, and you are, even if you don't have any resources, even if you don't have a story like my mom's, that you are careful with the people that you let into your life and the people that you are around, and who clings on to you and who doesn't. I think that is very important, especially in the economic times that we're in today, where resources for a lot of people are getting smaller and smaller. It is more attractive for many people to want to take advantage because they're more desperate. People are more desperate than ever before. And all I say is, don't let this be you. I'm telling this story because I live in the internet culture. I make content. I know people want to associate with people that make content and that have a lot of followers and stuff like that. And I want people to know that this is the reality sometimes, that people want access to you more frequently than not. We are still looking for answers. So if you knew my mother's name was Felicia Vivian Williams Butler.
Man,
she lived in
how beautiful she was. Look at her, beautiful woman. So here's the thing is that, and this does not only have to be van life. People could come into your regular life and be on some playing a long game, pretend like they be your friend, whatever. You could be living in like I went through that. So imagine being in the van life and you're like, okay, well, I'm doing this because I want to do it. And you know you're free, you know how to like to get around, whatever, but you have like some mental illness. Sometimes you're going in and out. On top of that, handicap where you have rheumatoid flare-ups, and this van is like whatever, that's how you're living. But then you're also on social media broadcasting where you know, hey, I'm over here doing this, and people are watching you. You never know who is going to approach you and who those people could be, whether they be good or bad. So I wanted to really highlight the story because it's not even just van, like it's just life in general. You have to watch out who you have around you and who can like come in and like try to get control of your thing. That's exactly what happened to Wendy Williams. Let's go.
Newport News for over 20 years. And many of you probably know my mother and Newport News for having the Purple House on Curtis Tigner Road. My mother was, pretty active in the community, and so you might know her from that. But if you are out there and you are considering living the van life, going off the grid, it seems very appealing. I just want you to take care of yourself and be prepared and be safe, and think about the people that you are talking to, and the people that maybe seem a little bit too enthusiastic about you and want to be in your life. And I guess in honor of our mother, that is the best thing that I can share with you. That's the best thing that I can tell you to do. I think my siblings would agree. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope the story helps someone out there. I will see you guys in a future video.
So I'm gonna go to the next one. This is how her mother got scammed during van life. Let's go.
In a van, living the van life, and how this woman claimed POA, per power of attorney, over her, and then how this woman manufactured a fake will in order to get control over my mother's assets. First, I really want to thank everyone who watched that last video, who commented on that last video, and everyone that showed support on that last video. It was extremely surprising. For those of you that asked whether I was making money off of my mother's death, no. My channel was not monetized at the time. And as of this moment that I'm making this video, my channel's still not monetized. I never wanted to be the my mom died in the van girl. And for those of you that were wondering if I was like trying to make a career off of my mom's death or out of my mom's death or something like that, just for background about me, you can Google me. First of all, I'm a former Miss Jamaica. I competed in China, the Philippines, Malaysia, and Japan. I have done a lot of television. I've done quite a few films, and I've done a ton of modeling. I was just in a billboard in Times Square. And if you go into LA Fitness, you're going to see my ads there. I was also the president of the Meningitis Foundation of America for a number of years. So I was not looking for fame based on my mom dying in a van. I'm very personally fulfilled with the career that I have had. So I'm also not in my 20s or 30s, and will soon be out of my 40s. So this was not why I did that. I really did it for people out there that are in my age, they're in my generation, that are about to experience their parents aging and their parents having to go into nursing homes, or having to have home health care, or having to need some other assistance. And I have a lot of friends that their parents are getting ill and they work full-time jobs and they have kids. So they're considered the sandwich generation, because they're between their parents that are getting up in age and are getting less independent, and their children who are new in life and are also not independent, obviously. So that's why I did the video about van life. I think, as I mentioned in my frequently asked questions video, my stepfather was a truck driver. He was a long haul truck driver. We grew up on the road, so we were very familiar with driving. I personally, as a young adult, have driven across the country 6 times. So I'm very familiar with what it's like to live life on the road. I grew up with a father that was on the road. We used to ride in the truck with him on the road when we were little. We are very familiar, more familiar than any van lifer with what life is like on the road. This is why I made the video, because for people as experienced as we are with driving alone, as women, with living alone, with growing up with a father as a truck driver, with all of that, this can still happen to you. So I wanted to drive that home. And I did not make the video because I was looking for sympathy. I made the video because I wanted people to understand how vulnerable you can be, even when you think you're empowered, even when you think you're independent, even when you think you have your shit buttoned up. That's why I made the video. So I'm making this video to expand on that point. So since I made that video, a lot has happened. And so I'm going to try to update you guys on what has happened, what I can say, what I can't say, I won't be saying, obviously. And I want to just offer some tips for what these kind of scams look like, because they are really like long games. These people seem to have kind of infiltrated into my mom's life like a while ago, starting with the woman that pretended to have the POA and then presented this fake will. It seems like she used her mother, which is a much older woman, like in her 80s, to befriend my mother. So after we cleaned out that van, I was able to recover a lot of documents that my mom had. We kind of figured that, oh man, somebody really got a hold of her and made her feel dependent, made her feel like she could trust them. And it's just amazing how we were kept out of that conversation between those people. And that
this is a story not only just about van life, but also taking care of the elderly. When your parents get a certain age, they're highly vulnerable. I mean, there's stories where people like talking about how people on QVC, you know, how the elderly will buy a bunch of stuff on QVC because just sitting up there back when QVC was the thing, you know. So we have to really care for our elderly because they're very highly manipulated, easily manipulated, and you know, people can prey on them. And that's where they had the movie. It was called I Care a Lot. That's where that movie came from. Is that you can like get power of attorney and then now you own this person's assets. They have children, but the only question I ask is that why were not the children more involved? I'm not sure if the mom was very hard to like deal with, but at some point the children should have stepped in, got power of attorney, and put her into a better place. But I get it though, because it's hard to do that with a grown woman. So
this woman basically was dealing in my mother's finances, and we had no clue. Now, just for additional context, me and my siblings were financially independent from our mom. All three of us are extremely financially independent. And so we have our own life. We've moved out of the home. We've never had to move back in. We're not boomerang kids. We never had to move back in. We're all financially independent. We all have our own careers and we all lived on our own. So we never had to ask our mom for money, which is a great thing. And I think that's probably one of the things that she's probably most proud of. A couple of things that we noticed is that this woman seemed to know the difference between civil and criminal, and she seemed to know the difference between coercion and deception. And so what she used was deception to get us to give her the van by lying to us and saying that she had the title. And we also now have witnesses that have spoken to this woman that she basically left our mom in the van because she got mad and basically abandoned her there and didn't call anyone, didn't do anything, didn't say anything. She just left her because she got mad at her because our mother yelled at her. And we have multiple witnesses that have said that she told them the same story. And this is the story that she also told us. So, which is ironic. This is the story that she told me, is that she got mad at her and decided not to go back and left her there. But now we have witnesses and we have evidence that pretty much invalidates that she ever had a POA in the first place. And also that after she could not produce a POA, that she then manufactured a fake will. So why is this happening? Well, number one, we're entering one of the biggest wealth transfers that Americans have ever seen, with a lot of the baby boomers passing away and leaving things to their children who are millennials and so forth and so on. So this has been well documented. And a lot of people have started to talk about this and what's going to happen, and all these people are going to inherit these houses, et cetera, et cetera. But some of the other aspects that are going to happen are scams like the one that I'm experiencing now, because of the way that the economy is, because there's people that feel like they didn't get their fair share, or just plain envy. You know, in my video, like I post about, you know, my family history and stuff like that. And some people just feel envious because of whatever they feel like they should be entitled to. I don't even know. Some people are just trying to get a come up and get some money and move on so that they think they can do their thing.
Let me tell you about this lady. She had the nerve to contact the kids and say, listen, I have power of attorney over your mother. Okay, and I'm on the will and this, that, the other, and blah, blah, blah. This is why you cannot, especially, so they're from a wealthy family. They are heirs to oil, like whatever, you know. And this lady was able to get power of attorney and to get on her will and all this other stuff and try to come in like she was entitled to something. You know what I'm saying? But meanwhile, she wasn't taking care of the mother. She just let the mother like live in the van. And then when she passed on, now she wants to assert her dominance as power of attorney. So this is how treacherous this world could be. So we have to be very careful about our parents when we, especially when we have like, assets and things like that. Be very, don't just like understand that our parents, they took care of you. They changed your diapers, made sure you need to make sure. Let's go.
There's some legal aspects of this. There's some personal aspects of this. There's opportunists. There's a lot of reasons why people want to, create inheritance fraud. There's fighting between siblings and things like that over who gets what and why and stuff like that. And so, because I have gone through this a few times, my dad died when I was very young. I lived a long time with my grandmother, and my grandmother passed away. So I had to go through the probate process a few times. I've had to learn what to do with assets and what to do with like inheriting a house, for example, inheriting a house that's paid for, also inheriting a house that has a mortgage. And what do you do with things like that? And I think a lot of people are going to learn from the first time what that's like and then what to look out for. So a lot of scam artists actually start early, especially if it's a long con. There's a thing called a long con, and I know like true crime is really popular right now. And so they start early, and it may seem innocent. And a lot of this, a lot of the characteristics of like a scam artist is very similar to how you would make a friend, like at a store or doing something that you like. And especially if you circulate around the same community all the time, and people start to track you and think about what you do in your daily life and what you like to do, and then offer their help, offer their friendship and stuff like that. And especially with old people. So a lot of scam artists will start with like giving you money, like, oh, I'll pay for that for you. You can get me back later, kind of like a friend, right? And or they'll start with accepting money from you, like, oh, can you cover that? And I got you later. Or just feeling comfortable accepting things of extreme value from you without the expectation of giving it back. They'll also
do the same thing on the other reverse. Oh yeah, I got you on this. I got you on that. I went through the same thing. So you have to be very careful about like people that are really like, and I've went through this with a person that scams older people. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't realize it. So we have to be very careful about who we have around us because people play the long game. People will play a long game of manipulation and treachery when it really comes down to it. They wait for you to lose your mind. They'll watch you lose it, and then they'll just come in, swoop in, hey, sign this. Next thing you know what I'm saying? But I'm just wondering where the kids were. That's the only thing I'm like, okay, well, where were y'all at? But you know what? The mom was living in a van. They couldn't just visit her at the house. She traveled around the world, around the country. Not the world, but she here, she there. There's no way to like say, okay, what parking lot are you in now? You know what I'm saying? Can we come visit you? And she probably would be embarrassed to show where she lived at because she probably wasn't keeping it up right. So it's a lot of moving parts of the story. Let's go.
Be exceptionally kind and tolerant of you no matter what you do. And you kind of wonder why. It's like for example, my mom was a very difficult person to get along with. She was highly judgmental, highly critical, and she just did not keep friends. And a lot of people did not tolerate her behavior. But these people did. They tolerated her behavior, and they were almost like overly nice to her. They'll also try to convince you that people in your life, like your family, aren't good enough for you, that they just don't understand you, they don't appreciate you, you're too good for them, they don't love you, they don't know how great you are, like all of those kind of things. And so when people start saying things like that, then you should start questioning why they're saying things like that. A lot of people are so hungry for attention, so hungry for validation, so hungry to be liked or loved that they don't really question what the thing is that's going on behind the person that's saying it, the why in it. Why are they doing that? Why are they saying that? One of the biggest giveaways is that they never want to meet your family. They always want you to meet their family, because the more they pull you into their family, their mother, their father, their uncle, their cousin, their children, the more they pull you away from your family. But they never want to invite your family. And when they do meet your family, if they happen to meet them, they're kind of like a little bit cold towards them. Like, like they don't really want to engage with them. They don't want to build in a relationship with them beyond the relationship they have with you. Another thing is they volunteer to help you with like personal / professional matters instead, and they try to discourage you from going the professional route. Like, oh, I could help you with that. I've done that before. Oh, you don't need to go to a lawyer. You don't need to go to an accountant. Oh, I can help you with your books, or I can help you with your finances. Oh, you want to make a will? I can help you with that. Or, you want to organize your stuff. Oh, I can help you with that. But they never want you to do it through a professional vehicle, because what they're doing is just taking more and more of your life and intertwining it with their life. And then they're making you more and more dependent on them. Another tip is to make it very difficult for people.
And listen, it's not just about van life. Everything you're hearing here, it could be just regular manipulation. You see the same thing with Wendy Williams. So this is an example of a van life situation, but really it goes with these older people. If you have older parents, if your parents are getting older, even if they're not that old, stay close to your parents. Stay close to them. Don't just let them just get taken advantage by the system. And I got like about several situations where I could tell you where it don't end up good. Let's go.
People to find the assets for people that are not very close to you. So this involves actually getting an attorney and actually knowing how to organize things and so forth. But doing that has a big advantage, because it's not so simple as I have a fake will, or this person gave me guardianship over them. It's not so simple as that. And it's a lot to undo. And there's a lot of stopping points in the process before those people can actually take anything. And what you want to do, so I would say setting up deterrence is like one of the most valuable things you can do, because even though it's more work on your part, but separating you from your money and making it very difficult for other people to get through you to get to your money is like one of the best things you can do, because people get worn down and people get tired, and there's a lot of tools out there that just make it very difficult. And fortunately for us, there's a lot of context to our mother's life and to our family that make it very difficult for strangers to really understand. And it may look from the outside like, oh my God, this is just amazing. And it's not that easy, and it's not worth anybody's time. And so that actually is a big deterrent. And honestly, you get tired, and by the time, and you run out of money, okay? Because at the end of the day, we don't really have control. And so that is one of the biggest things that I think is to our advantage, is that what people perceive is like, oh my God, I'm going to scam this woman, I'm going to get a come up. And then you realize that, oh, this woman is not the woman that makes the decisions at all. So you don't really get anything from this whole affair, because all you're going to do is spin your wheels and spend your money and spend your time. So guys, this is not over for us yet. I don't know where I go from here in terms of like sharing what I can share and what I can't share about what happens with this matter and with this case, but I will do my best, because I want people to understand what is going on and what they can do to protect themselves. At the same time, to people out there in the van life community, and I think I definitely rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Look, one of the things that I would say is make sure that all of your important documents that you have are not with you, okay? Because it just takes somebody going into your van and taking those documents, and then nobody else in your family ever seeing them again. Yes, our mom had mental illness. Yes, she had a lot of problems. Yes, she had an inheritance. Yes, at one point she was a stable mind. Yes, she did know how to live out on her own, and she could definitely conduct herself in everyday life without.
Hey, Golden Child, welcome. Hey, I wish you could send me some of that fish. I'm hungry.
A problem, but she got sick. She got sick in a confined environment, and that made it impossible to maneuver. There was a lot of clutter. Clutter piles up in a van very quickly if you're not well and you're not mobile. And then someone came along and offered her help, and my mom was too prideful to say no. My mom was too prideful to tell any of us that she was that unable to help herself, and they took advantage. That can happen to anyone. It's not specific.
And listen, that pride, man, we have to like go on ahead. Listen, if we got like a person, hey, honey, like listen, start inviting your grandmas. We lost the whole grandma concept. You know, all of them have moved on, become successful. And they said, okay, well, mom good. She good. She in the van. She's sweet. She's straight. And mom said, you know, I don't want them to like know I'm struggling. I don't want them to know I'm sick. And I went through the same thing. My mother had cancer, didn't tell me till she was like about to die. You know what I'm saying? And that's the weird thing about our community is we don't let nobody know when we're sick or like really on our because we don't want to make anybody else worry about us. That's one of the biggest things. Well, I don't want them to worry. I want them to like live their life. I don't want them to worry. Well, sometimes you like just let them know. Listen, I'm kind of sick. You know, I did come up with this. The doctor said that, and then people can come around you and shower you with the love that you need. But she instead, like she knew she was sick. She lived in the van. She still wanted to try to be independent, and now someone else comes swoop in, and now they're gonna scam her. So let's go.
Specific to van life. However, living in a van does make you vulnerable, just like being a truck driver makes you vulnerable to a lot of just like, you know, I lived as a model for more than 20 years. Being a model, being in a different country, being that you don't speak the language, makes you vulnerable to a lot of things. Anything that takes you out of your environment, out of your element that you are conditioned to function in, makes you vulnerable. That is just a fact of life. It's not an attack on van life. It's a fact of real life. Is this message to the woman who is doing all of this is you are not a young woman, you're older than me. And you weren't that much younger. You're not that much younger than my mother, in fact. And your mother, in fact, is quite up there. And one of the things that I thought about in the last few weeks is that this thing that we're in right now, you and I and my siblings and this whole thing is going to take a number of years to play out if we continue down this path. And your mother is most likely going to die during this process. And this is going to be your shared time together that you have. This is it. This is what it's going to be, you know, because she's pushing 90 or something. And so this is what you got. This is the time you have with your mom. And this is how you're choosing to spend it. Okay. I don't feel bad about how my mother died. I don't feel bad about
that. That is sad that this lady, okay, rather than taking care of her own mother, she's gonna prey on this other lady's mother. And now that lady's mom is in the van, and she, you know, she used to being in the van. She's been in there for 15 years. She cool, right? She just used to that life. This woman come along, swoop in, try to get like legal guardianship, all this stuff. We need to take care of our elders, man. These people, these like group homes, these people, we need to figure it out. Now, I'm not going to fault this young lady for her because her mom probably was like, no, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm good. And probably was sick as hell, coughing. I'm good. And then get off the phone. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? But that's the thing. That's our pride. You know what I'm saying? And as we get older, you know what I'm saying? We don't do that to your kids. This is probably heart-wrenching for her to have to fight this other lady who knows who this woman is. She want to get something because her mom ain't set her up, but she found this lady that's an oil tycoon's daughter and wants to like try to get control of her assets and take it away from her own kids. And that to me, man, she not only worry about her mother passing on, but her, because that's just jacked up. Why are you trying to get in between? Well, no, I was on. She gave me power of attorney, and I'm on the wheel, and this because you know why? Because it seemed like they didn't give a crap. It probably was months before they even contacted their mama. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't on the phone with their mama enough to be like, okay, hey, mom, every day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Hey, mom, what's up? What you doing every single day? Like, because mama, if you talk to her every day, you'd know that this lady is in her life. Why are you just now finding this out when she died? And I'm not trying to be offensive to this lady because I'm sure it's very terrible to lose your mother, but just know that okay, come on. We have to be real about this. Let's go.
About it because my mother was living her dream. And I know that. Okay. And that's why I knew that she needed to be out there living the van life because that's what she wanted. That was her dream. That was her dream my whole life. But I have a feeling that being caught in litigation, in a court case, in a civil court case, and then in a criminal court case is not your dream. That's not the dream that you want. And I have a feeling that that's not the dream that your mother wants, and that's not the dream that your mother wants for you. Your situation is not that great. And I think maybe you thought this was a Hail Mary, but it's not a Hail Mary. And I'm sorry that it's not a Hail Mary. It's not a come up. It's not a come up for you. It's not a come up for anyone. It's going to cost you more than what you could ever get from it. Okay. And it's going to cost you more time. And if you've seen that my mother died at 62 and you're not far from that, is that how you want to spend the rest of your mom's life and the rest of your life? Because this shit is stressful. Okay. Going to court, going to civil court, going to criminal court is stressful. And from what I know about you, I'm not going to go there to the extent that I'm going to pull a scab, because I have a feeling that what you have recently experienced in your life, or saying it out loud, is a bad scab to pull. But you've already been through this. You've already been through a court case, okay, a criminal court case. I don't think you want to go through another one with you on the other side. I don't think you want that, okay? So all I'm saying is now is a very good time to think about how to get out of the situation that you're in, how to back out of it. I'm not really interested in putting you in jail. That's not my goal. My siblings do not feel that way, by the way. I feel that way because I've put somebody in jail before. I know how fucked the situation can be, and it does not feel good. So, and you've put somebody in jail before. So I know the situation is not great. Don't let this situation be how you spend the last days with your mother. Because I know that's not what you want. And that's not what I would want for you or for anyone. Also, I would say don't do this, because not only are you going to take down yourself, you're going to take down your mother. You're going to take down one of your children because, and you're going to take down that notary. Okay. And I can probably think of a couple of other aspects here, and all those other people that are involved in your clan there, all those people, you're going to take them down too. So I would really think about that, if that's the direction you want to go, because I'm sure a lot of these people have kids, and then they're going to have parentless kids. Okay. Don't let your ego get in the way of that. Okay. Don't let your righteousness, or whatever you think it is, your envy, your hatred of us, your envy over my mom, or whatever the is, don't let that for your life, because it is definitely going to your life. Another thing that I would say is there is no scenario in which you win in this situation. Okay. There is no scenario. There's no honor in this. And I know that men value honor more than women here. I know you want to go to Vegas and be like, I came up off. I know that's what you want. But here's the thing. Anybody that you tell this story to is not going to feel good for you. They're going to feel bad for us. Okay? That is how that is going to go. That is just the nature of human nature. That's how people are. There is no aspect in this. There's no storyline in this where they're like, girl, you did the right thing. Girl, you won. Girl, you're right. There's no narrative there where you are right. And now your friend.
The sad part about this is that nobody cares. Whoever she has around her probably don't give a rat's behind about whether she's right or wrong. That's the thing, is that the way the world has become now, nobody cares. Like, oh man, you got that money? Oh, okay. Can I borrow some? They not gonna be like, oh, you was wrong and blah 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 blah. And she probably not told everybody. She probably haven't told everybody what she doing. So I'm sorry to say this, but I know that okay, it's right and wrong in your mind, but There's no one, no one's gonna care, bro. That's the sad part. That is the killing part about this whole thing. I just gave my mom and grandma a card and candles for V-Day. My mom was mad, telling me to save my money. Always take care of. Yes, always take care of your parents. If they're alive, take care of them. My mom passed away when I was 13, so I never got the chance to show the love back that she did for me. You know, these young people, you know what I'm saying? She took care of them till they got a certain age. They all was wealthy. They all like moved on. She wanted to like go into a van, live van life, did her social media thing. Somebody came along, got power of attorney when she was mentally ill, when she started to like not be viable. She had rheumatoid arthritis. She was sick and handicapped. And someone came along and was able to come and say, hey, sign this. And she signed it in her when she wasn't in her right. Who knows if her mom had a drinking problem or anything like that? You know what I'm saying? Who knows? But the problem is that with this van life, it's cool until people prey on you. You know what I'm saying? Because people could prey on you even when you're not doing this. What this really is a story of is like elderly, you know what I'm saying? How our elders, they're getting older now, and we need to be there for them. We need to be there for them. We can't just, I mean, just let them just whatever. You know what I'm saying? We have to be there for our elders. Let's go. Let's go.
Maybe like, yeah, girl, okay, But here's the thing, that's what they're saying to your face. Behind your back, they're like, I'm not trusting that girl around my mother. That's not my friend. They know who you are and they know what you did. You see, getting revenge for what happened to you and your family on somebody else because you think you're entitled right now because you're hurt because of something that you experienced is actually not going to make you feel vindicated in any kind of way. You know, it's just there and you're already in a bad place. You're already in the dark place. That's pretty obvious. And whatever it is that my mother said to you in that car, in that van, that allowed, that inspired you, that motivated you to just say fur and leave her there, you took way too personally. And that was your first mistake, is that you took it way too personally and you thought that it probably meant something more than it did, and you internalized it. And that was probably your first mistake. And I know you may feel like you're getting revenge, or maybe you feel like you're hurting us, you're trying to teach us a lesson or whatever. I don't know, whatever your moral.
Honey, it's not her trying to teach you a lesson. It is God itself trying to teach you guys a lesson to understand that, listen, I get it that your mom was mentally ill. Nobody wanted to deal with her. She was hard to deal with, whatever. But this is a story, like, even for your own kids, to make sure that you treat them right, to make sure that you're not being difficult for them so that you don't end up in this situation. When it really comes down to it, you know, I mean, I saw earlier, Golden Child says van life, aka bum life, right? Some people make a choice to go into this van life, and I'm going to go into this, like, so, because this was a whole trend like a year ago. It was a whole thing. People were doing this back to back, leaving their apartments and going into their vans, and there was a lot of women doing this. So let's go into this whole situation.
And you have probably seen this video of me. And if you don't know who I am and you're watching this, you've probably still seen this video of me. For some odd reason, it's going viral on social media right now. It has over 5 million views on TikTok. It's going viral on Instagram Reels, Twitter. Someone has even messaged me telling me that they saw me on World Star. These are all being posted by accounts that are not mine. I have never posted that video anywhere except for right here on my channel on YouTube. Because it's reaching a whole new audience, the people it's reaching have no idea what's going on. So if you're seeing this, this is the requested follow-up to that video. I want to start by saying that that video is a year old. I don't even have that van anymore. I don't know why it's just popping up now, but I have so many people asking me for an update, if I'm okay, if I made it out alive. So for all the new eyes on me that are here from TikTok or Instagram, Twitter, or any of the various news outlets that are posting me, hi, my name is Alyssa Vanilla. I am a full-time van lifer, and this is the story of how I was preyed upon in the desert.
You have a guy mountain up there that is watching you with binoculars.
I do van life full-time, and last year when this happened, I was broke, stuck living in the Arizona desert in a van that was older than I was. And that day, I was preparing to spend the night in the desert. It was 100 degrees that day. I was tired of stealth camping at Walmarts around the city. I wanted to be somewhere where I could sleep with my van windows open and not attract attention. BLM land is free and legal to camp at, so that's where I was. I was at BLM land right outside of Tucson. I don't think it has a specific name, but I'm pretty sure there's only one, so it's not hard to find. What I don't think people understood at the time that I posted that video, maybe not even my own subscribers, is that I had lived there for almost the entire winter the year before. It was perfectly safe, it was free, it was right next to the city. That was literally where I started van life. So it's not like I was just at some...
And you were never perfectly safe. As long as somebody could crash one of them windows out and open that truck window and open it up and do something to you, you were never perfect. That was a false sense of safety, man. See, this is the thing. Look at how beautiful she is. She's a very beautiful woman. And she's out in the Arizona desert, sleeping in a van, parked into like some weird place next to a bush. And then someone say, hey, listen, there's the person circling back and around here. You know what I'm saying? They circling. So to me, it's a sense of like, people lose their sense of like reality in this whole thing with van life. And I'm going to say this. I did interview a friend of mine who actually had to do van life. And sometimes van life, they try to make it luxurious, but it's really you're homeless, right? And let's just be real about that. She probably lost everything, probably struggled, whatever, homeless, and she had to do what she had to do. So I'm not going to demonize her for that. However, don't ever think that you're safe in any situation. Honey, you need to, if you're going to do van life, get a pistol then. Get a CCW. Somebody come messing with you, be prepared to use it because you're not safe, ma'am. I don't even feel safe sometimes, and I'm in a whole house. So how you feel safe in a van where all somebody got to do is crash the windows out? You're in the middle of nowhere in Arizona, in the Arizona desert, all kind of wild. That's almost like going to the Appalachian Mountains and be like, I'm safe. You're not safe, ma'am. You're not safe in the parking lot. You're not safe. So that's the reality we need to like really understand. Let's go.
Unknown place. I had already vetted this place. I knew that it was safe and it was a good place for me to stay at. What was different about this time is I was way early. It was still too hot for most of the snowbirds to show up who are usually there because it was early October. It was still 100 degrees in Tucson. So I was pretty much out there by myself. To me at the time, that was a green flag because as a solo nomad, sometimes it's just better to be somewhere out in the boonies by yourself rather than just have you and a few other vehicles. That can feel sketchy. People will make the argument, only camp with others, and people will argue against that and say, only camp when you have total privacy. Of course, there are pros and cons to both, but as a full-time nomad, you don't always get the luxury of choosing. I definitely didn't. And yes, I could have slept at Cracker Barrel, where I was sleeping basically every single night before. But sleeping on blacktop in the city when it's 100 degrees and you live in a metal van with all windows is not fun. I just wanted one day where I could open my windows and doors, let the breeze roll in, do some chores, and finally have some peace and quiet. It was a miserable summer spent in Arizona, and I couldn't leave because my van was having issues and I didn't want to break down somewhere. So I just toughed it out until winter came because I was going to be staying in Arizona for the winter anyway. So that is how I ended up trying to sleep in the desert that day. Then this guy shows up. Hi.
Okay.
This is the only video of mine that I have never watched after posting it. As I'm sure you probably know, it's a hard watch. And honestly, the video does not even do justice just how unnerving the interaction was. The reason there are so many cuts in the video is because Every time he asked me a question or even spoke, he would take really long pauses. If I didn't cut it, each one of our conversations would have been over 30 minutes long. So I had to cut out a lot of pauses. My first interaction with him was not giving red flags. So many comments on that video where I would have left after the first interaction. And I think those people are either paranoid or they watch too much true crime. If I left every spot I was at after a man came up and talked to me and was kind of weird, I wouldn't be able to stay anywhere. It was definitely strange, and I had actually decided that I was going to leave after that interaction. But he didn't seem harmful at that point. He just seemed like the kind of guy that would try to watch me change or something. So I was going to leave. But again, just so you understand why I was there, it was extremely hot. I didn't want to be in a parking lot. I just wanted a place where I could exist for a few moments with my doors open, charge my solar panels, and just have a fucking break from the misery of summer van life in Arizona. So he comes back, and that's when he starts telling me the story of how someone was watching me, and it sounded really strange. And at this point, mega red flags are going off. That's why I pressed him with, did he tell you he was watching me? Because it started sounding like bullshit to me. And then the conversation was dying, and that's when he took that eerie 30-second pause where a lot of people thought that they had accidentally paused the video. And in that moment, my heart was pounding. Not because I thought he was going to try to kidnap me or murder me. I think that's a bit extreme. But I did think that he might try to assault me. And for the first time in my van life travels, for the first time in my life ever, I genuinely thought that I was going to have to shoot someone. It is a gut-wrenching feeling. Thankfully, I was able to break him out of his trance with, "Can I help you?" or whatever I said. He left, then I left, and we both made it out alive. I remember after this happened, I really felt sick, and it was weird, but I didn't tell anyone that it happened. Not even my mom, who I'm pretty close with. She didn't find out till I posted it on YouTube 2 weeks later. I'm not exactly sure why that was. I think I was just having such a tough time that summer. Van life wasn't going how I thought. I was second guessing my life choices. And then this happened. And I don't know if it was shame. I mean, I definitely do not blame myself for what happened at all. But I think at the time I knew that if I told anyone what happened, they would say, okay, time to quit van life. I mean, it's not working out for you anyway. And I knew what happened sucked. But I also knew that this is exactly what I was supposed to be doing. I knew no one would understand, and I would only worry people. So I just buried it, and I moved on. But it felt insincere to not talk about what happened, especially since I had caught the entire thing on film, and if I didn't even tell my own family.
Come on, y'all. Imagine this is your daughter. Raise her up, you know what I'm saying? And then she decides she want to live in her van in the Arizona desert. How worried would you be as a mother that she puts this video out? This guy is sitting there pausing for 30 minutes between each thing. Like, I don't. And then she kind of made light of it, like, oh, well. Hold on.
I think I was just having such a tough time that summer. Van life wasn't going how I thought. I was second guessing my life choices. And then this happened. And I don't know if it was shame. I mean, I definitely do not blame myself for what happened at all. But I think at the time I knew that if I told anyone what happened, they would say, okay, time to quit van life. I mean, it's not working out for you anyway.
Time to quit van life. She didn't want to hear no one tell her.
But I also
stop it. Okay. She didn't want to hear nobody. This is the thing. That's probably what the mama was doing in that other situation. People get so addicted to like living off grid, just doing whatever, social media, podcasting, that they're willing to risk their lives and know that it's a dangerous situation. I mean, I'm gonna play this again for those that in the back that haven't seen this. Like, really listen to this for real. I think this is the part where she said, "Okay, let's go."
She was dying, and that's when he took that eerie 30-second pause where a lot of people thought that they had accidentally paused the video. And in that moment, my heart was pounding. Not because I thought he was going to try to kidnap me or murder me. I think that's a bit extreme. But I did think that he might try to assault me. And for the first time in my van life travels, for the first time in my life ever, I genuinely thought that I was going to have to shoot someone. It is a gut-wrenching feeling.
Okay, so she had a gun on her. Shouts out. You need to have that. If you're gonna be doing this, have a pistol ready. Okay, have it ready. You know what I'm saying? And you can't be up there convicted about having to do that. You need to be ready. Okay, it is what it is. You know, you can't be like, am I gonna? No, you can't, because that's fear. You've been fearless this whole time living in your van. Now all of a sudden you feel threatened. Now you feel fear. You should have felt fear the whole time. You're sitting there. The only thing protecting you from the outside world and what's inside your van is a window that could be cracked by anything, a rock, whatever. So that you should have already been like, okay, listen, I need to be protected. Have my pistol ready. And you know, yeah, if he said that and was pausing, he looking at you. I don't know. You never know what kind of weirdo this is. And you had a whole conversation with him that lasted like almost an hour. You had to cut the video. And I'm not saying this because I'm trying to be mean to her. I'm just saying it because it's almost like if my daughter were to do something like this, like how I would feel. Like, oh my God, what are you doing? I think that if this was my child, I would be like, where are you at right now? And honey, I would have pulled up next to her like, no, we fixing to follow me. And no, we're not fixing to do this. No, we're not doing that. What are we doing? Why are we out in the desert? Why do you feel like you have to live like this? What is really going on? Why do you feel like you have to do this?
Thankfully, I was able to break him out of his trance with, "Can I help you?" or whatever I said. He left. Then I left. And we both made it out alive. I remember after this happened, I really felt sick. And it was weird, but I didn't tell anyone that it happened. Not even my mom, who I'm pretty close with. She didn't find out till I posted it on YouTube 2 weeks later. I'm not exactly sure why that was. I think I was just having such a tough time that summer. Van life wasn't going how I thought. I was second guessing my life choices. And then this happened. And I don't know if it was shame. I mean, I definitely do not blame myself for what happened at all. But I think at the time, I knew that if I told anyone what happened, they would say, okay, time to quit van life. I mean, it's not working out for you anyway.
Duh. And I don't think that she's lazy. I think that in her mind, she's content creating. This new generation has no sense of fear because they live their life on the internet. And they don't understand. In the real world, there is things to be afraid of. Like, what are you doing? And they get so stuck into their brain, they don't want to listen to their elders saying, hey, listen, no, don't do that. That's not safe. And at some point she decided, you know what, I'm gonna live in my van. I don't want to pay no bills. I'm gonna chill. I've got this van paid for. It's all paid up. And I'll just do social content and make my little money on YouTube, get my little money off there. Probably DoorDash, you know what I'm saying? And make some money delivering. And they found a way to not have to pay the system to live in an apartment, whatever, but it's a certain safety to that. It's a certain level of safety. What she's doing right now, I would not encourage any of my children to do. In fact, I'm probably going to show them this video when I get done with this.
And I knew what happened sucked, but I also knew that this is exactly what I was supposed to be doing. I knew no one would understand, and I would only worry people. So I just buried it, and I moved on. But it felt...
No, because enough people probably told you don't do it, and then you just didn't want to go back and say that you were in danger because it would make it look like, okay, well, no, come back home. She's lying and saying, oh, okay, well, no, I just didn't want people to say. No, people would have told you not to do it. They would have probably doubled down on it and might have met you where you were at and said, no, come on, that's it. Van life over. Any parent would have said that. Because who wants to find a child in the middle of the desert in Arizona? That whole situation could have went so many different ways, you know? And she's putting herself in danger. She's still doing it. And I'm like, and now we see the older woman who did it for 15 years, and look at how she ended up.
Insincere to not talk about what happened, especially since I had caught the entire thing on film. And if I didn't even tell my own family, you can imagine how difficult a decision it was for me to post it on YouTube. But at the time, I don't even think I even had 20,000 subscribers. So I thought, well, I don't have a very large audience, and this is part of my story. I was doing numbered stories at the time. So I mustered up the courage. I went through the footage. I edited it. I posted it. And then it went viral. And here I was with this moment that I was feeling very weird about internally. And I now had hundreds of thousands of people weighing in on it before I had even fully processed it. And there were a lot of people saying exactly what I thought people would say, which was, you should have never been out there alone in the first place. What did you think was going to happen being out there by yourself?
Hello? Why is that like a sarcastic thing?
Sounds like victim blaming to me. I
Victim
didn't
blaming?
argue. I just let people talk.
You understand how, like, the millennials, when someone is giving them common sense, they say that people are victim blaming. She ended up passed away. That was the story I told earlier. She did it for 15 years. She ended up with some kind of mental illness. She had rheumatoid arthritis. Somebody ended up getting like personal, like, representative of her whole situation. And then her kids, they finally reached out to the kids. She died in the van after a month. They finally figured out who she was. Reach out to the kids. It's flies all up in the van because of where she was there for a whole month. And then some lady, after they recover her, come out the blue saying, "Oh well, I have power of attorney." So now they're fighting this lady in court to try to get control of her assets or whatever they have to go through. And the lady have a 90-something-year-old mother. I mean, it's a mess, but I think that she probably in her like maybe late 20s, like mid 20s. So she's not looking at it the way. I'm like, ma'am, what are you doing? Where's your man at though? Why aren't you van lifing with a dude to make sure to protect? Why are you by yourself van lifing? You know? I don't know, man. I mean, I know it's like the power of the woman right now, but hell, I would not be van lifing by my goddamn own self. Hell no.
Talk, and I stayed off the app for a while. It sucked. What was my happy place? YouTube had just gotten so overwhelming. But eventually I just kind of got over it. And I kept making videos.
She say that they victim blamed her. Honey, you're YouTube blaming. Oh, it was just too much from the YouTube. No, that sometimes all those voices in that YouTube is God like talking to you saying, hey, get out of there. Now she done probably still did what she wanted to do. She's still doing van life. She's in the van. She got a whole new van, got rid of the old one. Now she's in the better one. She probably made a lot of money off that YouTube video. However, I'm like, her skin looks beautiful, by the way. She looks, radiant. I'm just saying, like, as a woman like that of this stature, just go get an apartment. If you want to travel and go from here to there, you can just do that, but always have a place to call home. Don't just, I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Now here I am, safe and sound, no harm, no foul, all the wiser. We hope. I will say I'm really shocked at how many people told me to get a gun after watching that video. It's like I couldn't have made it any more clear. I am full-blooded Texan, raised by 2 military parents. And I'm pretty sure Arizona is a stand your ground state, so that's all I'm going to say about that. I guess some people just cannot read between the lines. I got my first gun when I was like 10. I started going to the range with my dad when I was a teenager.
Right.
My dad was security.
Let me tell you something about this. First of all, if you have a gun license in Texas, that's called like transporting firearms across state lines. You can't have a gun from Texas in Arizona, first of all. And see how like arrogant it is. Like, oh, I've always been a Texas person. Da, da, da. No, you can't just be driving around different states with a gun. I'm gonna tell you a story. My friend's brother, right? He was an actual ex sheriff in I don't know Boston or some Delaware, some kind of weird like place over there. He was gonna move to Canada, and so before he moved to Canada, I think he was either moving to Canada or Buffalo or something like that. Before he moved, he traveled around the U.S. and when he went to cross the border in Canada, they found out he had a pistol from wherever state he was. They put him in jail for years for that pistol. And same thing, if the police pull you over and they find a pistol and it's registered to another, unless you have it secured a certain way, but he didn't even have he had it secured. However, they still like did that. So you all that you need to understand the gun laws in different states is not just a matter of, honey, I'm from Texas and I know what I'm doing. No, you need to understand that each state has laws. You have to have a whole like countrywide CCW, and that takes you. That's not just they don't just issue those out. So just because you got a CCW from Texas, don't mean you can like have a pistol in Arizona. But maybe she does. Let me stop being preemptive. Let me go.
Security forces in the Air Force for over 20 years, basically my entire life. I also grew up in Texas where everyone owns guns. Every family member, every friend's house. Having guns is just the culture here. So firearms are not unfamiliar to me at all. All that being said, I would never want to be in a situation where I had to use one. I would never ever go looking for trouble. I am not trigger happy. It is 100% a last resort. But I have always been taught to defend myself, and if I have to, I will. So that's the full story with more context. Hopefully that answers some questions that people had. I didn't let it deter me from doing what I love to do, and I have no regrets whatsoever. If you found me from that video and decided to stick around, thank you so much for being.
Well, shouts out to her. She's still doing it. She's still it's a year later. She's still van lifing it up. But I just want to be responsible and share these stories because everything don't end up like this. So let's talk about this. Another van life. Let's go to a male that went through it. Okay. Van life, okay?
And then I started thinking about one experience that actually happened a few weeks ago in Northern California that I wasn't sure I would ever bring up on this channel because you guys know I'm all about the positive vibes.
Let me tell you something about these millennials, right? Honey, they just be just little hippies. Shouts out to the millennials and Generation Z and whatever this generation is. All that hippie stuff and the positive vibes. Shouts out to them. You know, they didn't took a little bit from like the baby boomers, a little bit of us, and they just really trying to be out here. You know, I don't know. Just they want to be free. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to seem like I'm just coming down hard on these people. I just want them to be realistic, right? Now he have this music playing. It might make my video get like copyright, but I'm gonna still show it anyway because I want to show a male, and then I might show a family getting attacked too because it's weird. This whole van life thing is very frightening. So let's go.
I always try to keep things light and stuff like that, but this is something that really affected me and made me more cautious about how I move as a person doing van life. And so I guess it wouldn't be right to just try to give you guys all the positive stuff all the time and never give you any of the bad stuff that happens. So there are bad things that do happen. Traveling, obviously, on your own with a cat, stuff's gonna happen. But yeah, I do want to share one experience that I had that really changed how I like move around other people. So I'm gonna take advantage of this cold weather and this foggy atmosphere and make some cocoa, and then it's story time. So yeah. Before I get to that though, my name's Mateo. I travel full time in my 1999 Chevy Astro with my cat Lars, who is playing over there, rolling around in dirt. And this is Winter is Blue. All right, so I think I should just jump into the story. So basically, I was camping in NorCal. I won't say exactly where, but I was camping in NorCal for like a couple weeks. I was at a pier, and on this pier, they allowed overnight camping, so you would find like nomads there all day, all throughout the night. They'd be parking on the right side of the pier, and it was like honestly like a little small community. Like there was one guy who would come by and bring me like blackberries that he would pick, and there was one girl who traveled with her entire family and played music, and that's how she got gas and stuff like that. So like I met a lot of cool people there, and you guys saw me shoot a lot of videos there as well. Then one day this completely new person comes, and I know that they're new because their van has a very unique build to it that I had never seen before. So this new person comes in, they drive down the pier, and where everyone parks to the right, this person parks to the left, which I thought was a little weird, but I thought, I don't know, maybe they're just like being the main character or something, trying to like make sure that their van gets like the most views because it's so apart from everyone else. So I didn't really think much of it and brushed it off. Take Lars on a quick walk on the beach, and when I get done, I see the guy, he's outside of his van and he's cooking food. And you guys know me, I try to be nice and inviting to people that I meet. So I reached into my little bag and pulled out some spoons. If you guys don't know what I mean by that, I consider myself an ambivert, but I try to pull out that little extrovertness sometimes to just make friends and stuff like that. So pulled some of that out, walked up to the guy and introduced myself. He told me his name. I'm not gonna use his name, but we'll just call him Frankie. And he says, "What's up?" He tells me this long story about where he came from, what he was doing before van life, and he took me around his entire van, showed me an entire tour. His van was very uniquely built. Everything was handmade. He said he was a craftsman. Yeah, just told me stories for so long. I was literally at a point, I was on the ground, crisscross applesauce, just like listening to this guy talk. And yeah, after that was done, I went back to my van and I proceeded to get ready for the night. I was cooking and doing stuff like that. And then a person that I'd known for a while who had been in that area walks up to my van and he's like, "Hey, I ain't talked to you." So I'm like, "Okay." And he pretty much tells me, he was like, "You should be careful with who you talk to because I know that guy." And then he tells me this long story about how when he was working at like a homeless shelter, apparently he knew that guy, and that guy was a convicted SO. And I instantly kind of believed him because he started saying like names of places that the guy had just told me he was from and stuff like that. So that was instantly like super creepy. And more than creeped out, I just felt really stupid in the moment because I was literally just on the ground, crisscross applesauce, talking to this guy. And this whole time he's like saying little bits and pieces about where he's been, what he's done, and then he like jumps to something else. I guess because he's skipping over vital information. So I just felt really stupid. I was just like this close, literally in this guy's van, not knowing who I was talking to. So the guy, we'll call him John. John's telling me about Frankie's past and like how he knows him and what he's done. And it's just really like bone chilling stuff. And he tells me to be careful. And not to get too close to that guy. So obviously I'm instantly like, yeah, of course. So I go about my night, kind of everything's still kind of weird, but I go to sleep. And the next morning I wake up and John comes back over and asks me if I heard what happened last night. To which I said no, because I sleep like a log. I didn't hear anything. And he told me that around like 5 a.m. he was walking around and walked past Frankie's van, and there was trash everywhere. And John, what he likes to do, he likes to get up really early and he goes around, he cleans up all the trash that he finds. He calls it his like act of service for like being able to stay there. So he tries to keep the beach clean. But apparently there was a lot of trash by this guy's van and they started a huge argument. And he pretty much was like, I remember you. I know who you are. So like, I'm not even sure if you're supposed to be here. It's probably a violation for you to even be at this public area. So if you don't get straight, I'm going to pretty much call the cops. And I'm like, whoa, yeah, I did not hear that. And apparently, after that was over, he went and like talked to some of the other people and told them about Frankie as well. I was asleep, so I slept through that entire thing. But he just tells me like, this guy is really creating a problem here. And then he goes about his day. And at that point, I'm like, I should probably leave this area. This is too much drama for me. I'm not about that kind of life. But here's where it gets really creepy. So I'm in my van. I have all of my window covers up except for this window right here, which opens out this way. And my curtains in the back are also open. I have really dark tint in my van, so it's extremely hard to see in there. If you're just walking by, you're not gonna be able to see me whether I have my covers up or not. They're just that dark. But I'm in my van and I think I'm editing a video or something like that. And everything's quiet and peaceful. And all of a sudden I just hear a loud bang on my window. And I instantly freeze. And then I hear a deep, gruff voice say, "Freeze, police." So at this moment, I'm like freaking out. I'm like, why would the police be at my window? And why are they being so aggressive? The window covers are up, so like the person's on the other side of my van. I can't actually see who it is. But as they walk around my van, I see that it's Frankie. And he stops in the back of my van to where my curtains are open. And again, I have really dark tint, but if you get really close, you can see through. And he cups his hands and peers through my window. And if you're like me, a person who does van life, you know this is my house. So that was the equivalent of somebody just like walking up to your window in your house and just looking in there. That's extreme violation of privacy. Like I could have been doing anything. But he walks up and now he's laughing because apparently this was some big joke. He's just trying to freak me out. But of course, I know who this guy is now. And I'm like, this is freaky. This is really creepy. And so he walks to where I have one window open. I was just going to freeze and act like I wasn't in the van because he couldn't see me from the back. But this window is open.
Are y'all listening to this crazy nonsense? He say that the van is like his house. And so the guy is knocking on his van door and violating. But hell, the car, if someone come up to your car and look into it, period, that's a violation. But they have developed such of a culture that they have the rules or whatever of the culture, and they're not even realizing that, period, if someone come look inside your car, if you have your car parked in Walmart, go in to get a snack, and you have tinted windows, and someone hits on your window and look inside, that's dangerous. But he's only like associating it to, oh, this is my house. No, period. But because they're not in a house, their mentality is not the same. So he's sitting freezing doing this rather than calling the police. If someone came to my door, said freeze police, knocks on my window, and is walking around my house, I'm going to call the police. But because it's a van, it makes different rules, right? It's a car, it makes different rules. This is the problem, is that it's not safe, guys. It's not safe, period. But they're gonna still keep doing it because they're getting 100,000 views on YouTube, 200, 300,000, blah. And they probably getting something from telling these creepy stories, but this is what's
And when he walks around the van, he peers into my open window and sees me. And he's like, "Oh, there you go, man. Hey, dude, I just wanted to hang out with you. I just wanted to talk and chop it up for a little bit. I just want to know if you wanted to hang out with me." And I'm like, I'm really caught off guard. From the whole cop thing to just switching to this, I didn't have time to really react. And I was just really trying to get out of that area at this point. So I'm like, no, man. I've got some YouTube videos to edit. And he asks, "Well, how long do you need? Because I can come back. I just want to hang out with you for a little while, talk some more." And I'm like, I'm going to be going to Starbucks to edit, so I think I'll be there for a few hours. And after that, he's still outside of my open window. But then he shifts the conversation. He asked me if I heard what happened earlier this morning. And I go, no. And he pretty much tells this played down version of what happened. Apparently the other guy was just angry about something, and he came up to him and called him a slob and then got into an argument. And what I think he was doing at this point was, because remember I told you that John went and told some other people who were up about who this guy was. And I think he was coming up to me to pretty much gauge where I was and see if I was still on his side, if I had heard about what John had to say about him. So I think that's what he was doing there. But yeah, after I told him I was going to...
Bro, all this conversation going on, that's the difference between a van and a house. If he would have did all that, this conversation would have never happened. If someone come to your house and do all this BS, you're not going to have no conversation with them like that. But because they're in the van life and they think that, why is this even, he's outside his van conversing with this guy out inside with his door locked, and he trying to find out this and find out that and who said what. And that shit would never have happened if he was inside of. But this is almost like a homeless tales, the tales of the homeless. Let's go.
Starbucks. He was pretty much like, "All right, I'll catch you later on." And I get in the car. I wasn't planning on going anywhere that day, but I hop in the car and I head to Starbucks and I stay there until it gets dark, and then I head back to the spot. Because during this time, I was actually really low on gas. I couldn't go too far. So I ended up going back there. And I told myself I was going to leave right when I got the money to fill up my gas tank. I was heading out. So I thought the worst was over, but this situation still had yet to come to a head. The next day was crazy. So I'm in my van. At this point, I'm not even really hopping out to talk to people. I'm chilling to myself, waiting for me to get paid and get out of there. But the next day I'm in my van and things are chill, things are normal. The guy's gone, Frankie's gone. So I think John talked to me earlier. He thinks him bringing up the cops made the guy leave. So he's gone. The day's going on and he's still gone. So I'm like, okay, maybe he's just gone. Maybe he went to the next town or whatever. Then around 3 p.m., he pulls in and goes back to his spot. And when he does that, John comes back to my car and tells me this part. He's like, "Yeah, this guy's a total creep." And he brings up the fact that he parks on the left side of the pier. He's like, "Haven't you ever noticed that he's the only one that parks on the left side?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did notice that, but I didn't really understand why." And he was like, "If you pay close attention to him, you'll see that he parks on the left side, pulls out a one-eye telescope and stares at the people on the beach." Apparently
What? This guy is pulling on a telescope, staring at people on the beach, parked in a van. That's weird.
younger people on the beach so when he told me that, that really made it just
And you
gross,
still
because
didn't
he does
leave,
park on the
bro.
west
You
side,
still
and I
didn't
have
say,
seen him
let
with a
me find
telescope.
another location.
I just thought he was looking at the ocean or something like that. But that was the worst part of it. Just knowing that like it's happening right there. So John at this point is like really mad. He's like, I'm really gonna call the cops because I don't even think he's supposed to be here. And I bet one call to the cops, he'd be out. So John goes back off, and almost like instantly, there's like a group of like moms with their kids, and they are walking down the pier, and they walk past my van, and they walk out of my view. At the end of the pier is where Frankie parks. So they walk past me, and they're heading to where his van is. And I get like this sick feeling of just like thinking of what might happen. And then right behind him is John, like beelining straight towards Frankie's van. I think that he saw that too, and he was like, enough's enough. And so he walks there, and he's like, it's honestly like a huge scene. Like they're both yelling. He's telling all the people around him, pointing at the guy, telling him what he like, who he is, and all this stuff. And the people that were walking down there just like turned around, and they like hoofed it. They were off the pier, and now it's just these two. They're in each other's face, and they're just like yelling at each other, insults. I'm gonna bear spray you if I see you around here again. Like this, that, and the other. And they're just like full voice yelling. And I'm in my van. I hop out and like see what's going on, just to make sure, like, you know, I don't really know, but yeah, they're just yelling, and he's like, if I see you here again, I'm calling the cops. And then he just walks away, and Frankie is yelling at him, just calling him like words and slurs, telling him to come back. He'll bear spray him in the face, things like that. And
Do you notice how like innocent these people are that are doing this? They have no concept of danger. You're watching all this go on, and you're still there. I would have like pulled my truck off and finished editing my videos at Starbucks for real. I don't want to know what's going on.
at some point, they both just go back in their vans, and it's dead quiet again. Luckily, the next day, we didn't see Frankie. And then after that, I was done with the whole area. I
You
got
could have been
my
done.
gas money and filled up my tank, and I headed out. So I haven't been back there.
And let me just say this, is that they be just living off gas money. You know, I just need 20 bucks, you know what I'm saying, just to fill my tank up and go to the next spot. So is that like kind of like not homelessness? Like they call it van life. That did we replace being homeless in a van, like living in your car, to van life? Is that the new thing? Is that what's really going on here? Is that people are homeless living in their vans, and rather than saying, oh, I'm homeless, they make this unrealistic thing, put it on the internet, and make it into van life, and you have other people like, oh, I'm gonna do it too. Like, no, that's homeless. Okay, you're homeless at this point. If you don't got no apartment sitting somewhere you could drive your van up to and move into, you homeless. So yeah, like, so he leaves from there. Let's see what happens at the end.
And I don't really think I'm planning to go back to that specific area, just because I just have a gross kind of vibe about it now, which sucks. I really did enjoy it. But yeah, that whole situation just made me think twice about, you know, really opening myself up to new people, how I had been. Because before, I see you have a van, I have a van, let's be best friends. That was the vibe. But that really taught me to be more selective and more careful and cautious about who I open up to and invite in, or let myself be invited in by. So if nothing else, hopefully you guys can take from that and just be more cautious about who you're hanging around, because you never know who that person really is. Yeah.
Y'all, I mean, what's the difference now? So let's really, I mean, are we really like really trying to think that we're not, because we can like put a bed into a van, that this is not homelessness and that you're really in danger? That's the problem, is that if you was really homeless living out here and it was because of a situation that you couldn't like decorate your van up, would you be this like safe, like feeling this safe?
Decide where I'm going to go when I first go to a new place is I go on Google. who you think you are, and that is a
So she gets like a
Where did you
this is
go?
her van. She got to set up and stuff like that. And people start knocking. She goes and parks somewhere. Wouldn't
Ideal, but
stop
let's just see
knocking.
what the hotel
Overnight
looks
parking
like.
at a hotel.
It might not be that bad.
Goes
And it
into the
wasn't like
hotel. She parks the car.
10:15. Probably not. But it's a Domino's. Whoa.
She gotta like leave the hotel because
Still waiting.
parking is behind,
So
knocking at
there's
her door.
Denny's that's open 24 hours. But then
She gotta like go and like find somewhere to go.
Wait till these people pull past me. See inside.
Oh, look.
Spaces available. But there's a lot of cars that are just parked with their lights on, so that's a little sketchy. I don't know. Like make sure that there's no one walking around or security rolling up on me or whatever. And then I go to sleep. Everything's locked up and I'm ready for bed, but that's what I'll be doing for at least 1 or 2, 5 more minutes. Good night. Somebody's knocking.
You hear this? You see that? Look, on the van.
Hi.
Hey, you have a room?
I just pulled over just to go to the bathroom back here. I'm leaving.
Okay.
All right, so it happened. That's the first time in
Can't park at the hotel, ma'am. But how scary is that? You trying to go to sleep and all of a sudden you get knocks at the window. You don't know what that could be, the other person, it could be anybody. Listen, y'all. Van life, all that stuff, please. Come on now. We need to be really like careful about what we do. Okay. I mean, there's shelters out here. I mean, they say the shelters are scary too, but at least a shelter have video cameras. You know, they have like services that'll help you get an apartment. There's no reason. I mean, if you want to like travel the US, I get that, you know. But hotels, like, you know, make sure save up some. I don't know what to say about this. I don't know, man. Y'all make y'all decision. I mean, I would put up like a poll. Do you think van life is safe? I don't think so, y'all. You know, and I've seen even families going through like the creepy stuff. You know what I'm saying? I've seen families going through it. This is not just something that just happens with individuals. And then they have like whole families and so van life families are scary. Let me just see. Let's go into this real quick before.
Imagine how wonderful it would be to explore the countryside in a caravan. Just imagine going trekking and being chased by bears and forcing your children to go regardless of whether they want to or not. Or enjoying very comfortable sleeping positions and sharing absolutely everything with each other. And the whole goddamn internet. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to tell you about 5 families that have chosen the van life. And in the process of doing so, they have done some very, very questionable things to achieve that dream. So, let's get the show on the road.
How we sleep in the trailer.
The family of what? 12. Humans in a 30-foot caravan. That's like 2 square meters per person. God damn, 10 kids. I mean, I know we're having a demographic crisis, but you didn't need to do all of them. I mean, it's not a competition. We did win.
This is where the little girls sleep. It used to be a table, but it converts into a bed.
Just wait a goddamn minute. It used to be a table. Lady, did you know that you had 3 children sleeping in a box? I mean, that is not a bed. That is a shoebox with children in it. Just look at that face. That is not a happy face. Why, mother?
Here's where Enoch sleeps.
God damn it. Just look at him. He knows. He knows he's not the favorite kid. Poor kid. I mean, look at the dirt around him. The least they could have done is clean up the floor. All right, so we have 10 kids. 2 of them will go over there. I think 2 of them will go in here. Another one will go in here. That's perfectly okay. And I think that's all of them. Yeah, I think we've got all of them. Great. Oh, wait a minute. Enoch. What about Enoch? I will just put him on the floor. Won't even clean it up for him.
Here's Elijah. He has a top bunk. Down here are Pearl and Naomi.
Oh, look how cute they are. Here's my teenage boy sharing a bunk bed with his 2 younger sisters. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But it does feel a bit weird, doesn't it?
Here's where Josiah sleeps.
God damn it, another kid on the floor. Lady, why do you have your children sleeping in the condition of a pack of hot dogs? They're literally packed like a box of pasta. Why do you do this? That kid, he can't even bend. He literally has only one sleeping position. There's no alternative. I mean, what if he farts? There's nowhere for the air to go.
This is where Moses sleeps.
Oh man, really?
Well, at least he looks pretty comfortable. But that sleeping position, are you comfortable? Oh yeah.
And this is where Mommy and Daddy sleep.
Nice. That is a pretty nice space you have there. Are these 6 pillows, queen or king-size bed? Plenty of covers as well. Pretty nice. I can imagine it's a great place to sleep and relax and forget about all of your troubles. Like the fact that your kids are sleeping on a floor. I mean, how incredibly selfish it is to have this pimped out bedroom while the kids are literally packed like sardines in the rest of the caravan. But it's okay, because she says that dad sometimes sleeps on the floor too. What do you mean sometimes? And what do you mean dad? Why is it only men sleeping on the floor? We all know damn well that the parents ain't sleeping on the floor if the kids aren't complaining. And you know what? I'll get off my high horse. If I had 10 humans running around that I am responsible for, I'd do exactly the same thing. And I know you would do too. Don't lie to me. I mean, imagine having the whole American football team to take care of and to fit in a goddamn caravan. I mean, that is insane. But this poor kid, I mean, they really could have given him some pillows. Throw a bone to the poor little man. I mean, come on. But it's all right. We have no reason to get annoyed. She says it is way comfier and roomier than a tent. Come on. I mean, don't be silly. They could have been sleeping around a wasp's net or be attacked by a bear and then have to walk miles on the broken glass to get to shelter. So this is actually pretty nice. They also could have had their own bed and some privacy during growing up. I mean, they have less space than the minimum required standard for a personal...
Elijah and Josiah.
Goddamn, that is one of the nicest prison cells, bedrooms that I have ever seen. But did you know that that dude is 21 and his brother is 17? There's just no way that a dude who's 21 lives in that house out of his own free will. Hey baby, let me take you back to my place.
Chloe. This is where Enoch.
Damn.
This is where the Legos sleep.
Just wait a goddamn minute, lady. A king-size bed, a place to work. I mean, pretty nice. I'm jealous.
Our bathroom is large for an RV. A is up in the loft. She loves having her own space and has it organized just the way that she likes.
No. I mean, that is a deep shelf. That is not a loft. And what do you mean it's just how she likes it?
Yes, mother, I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way.
I mean, that thing is smaller than Harry Potter's room under the stairs. 3 years. 3 years they have been living like this. I mean, if you saw a monkey in a zoo with this amount of space, you'd call animal protection.
The living room has plenty of space and we can all enjoy a show and hang out. We have a full working kitchen with a dual propane and electric fridge, stove, oven, and microwave. The island is my favorite part.
I mean, it certainly has plenty of space. I'm 100% there with you. A lot of space for...
Listen, that is nice. I ain't gonna lie. That is nice. If I was just like going on a vacation, that's nice. But just living there, I don't know. Okay, so let's go.
Next up is Jay's room. We took out the couch and built his bed with the base of a TV stand for extra storage. He enjoys having his own space too.
Come on, no. So the other kid has a proper room with a full-size bed, storage units, plenty of space to do things like, I don't know, standing up, and in fact has some privacy because he can close that door at any time, while the other kid just gets a deep shelf in the wardrobe. I mean, that is one way to say you have a favorite. Man, I love this caravan. We'll have huge sofas, an island, a big bathroom for all of us to use, and a king-size bed for me and the hubby. And Jay, I mean, he'll get his own room. Oh, and Sheil. Well, we'll just put her in that cabinet over there. There is no equality in that house. But don't worry, squished and uncomfortable, then she must be perfectly fine.
Next up is Jeremiah's room. He has a queen bed, a ton of storage, and that second bathroom is in the back. Oh my gosh, the kids are so excited to have their own bathroom and that space.
I'm sorry.
I don't know, man. I would only do this if it was absolutely necessary. Like if I was like completely homeless and I had to do that.
And then meeting whenever the schedule lines up is good. Am I going crazy, or is this exactly the same thing? There's no benefit there. In fact, I'd say there's a lot of disadvantages. But finally, they have came to this conclusion. Oh, never mind. Anyway, here's another great family. How lovely, just cleaning up the house and the shelves for my little kids. I mean, wait, no, it's literally a shelf. I mean, that is the amount of space that I would expect for some t-shirts and jeans, not for a child. But luckily, they do have a normal house, and this is really just for adventures. And I suppose stuffing your children into kitchen cabinets can be forgiven if it's only for holidays.
This is what a one-night backpacking trip with my 2 toddlers and I looks like. There's still so much preparation and packing that goes into it. You still have to take all of the gear. My son has a broken leg right now, so I had to carry him in the Trail Magic for the whole hike.
Wait, what? He's got a broken leg and he's still going. Timmy, I know you have a broken leg and it hurts you every single step I take. I'm sure you're in a lot of pain. But come on now. I mean, mommy's gotta get her fix of the adventures. I mean, we're going skydiving today. It's exciting.
Sometimes I wonder if it's worth it, especially on this hike. It was so miserably hot and hard hiking.
Yeah, I'm sure it was miserable, but I would imagine more for the kid with the broken leg.
We made it to camp right as the sun was setting and it was...
You know what? During that time, I would personally have some self-reflection. Wait a minute. Should I be taking my little kids to places where there are bears running around? Should I be forcing them to hike even if they have a broken leg? And should I be forcing them to come with me even if they don't want to? Nah, okay, they're coming with me. But there's one thing that I will say really positive, is that she does hide the faces of those little kids, and that I do respect. However, on the other side, they post stuff like this. I mean, come on, that is just so embarrassing for the kid. That kid is going to be picked at school because of shit like this. And has a stable job, but that did not stop them from moving to New York City. Damn, I mean, we are struggling a little bit. I mean, we have 10 kids and my job search isn't going so well. I just don't know what to do. Ooh, I know. How about we move to one of the most expensive cities in the fucking world? It's brilliant. So what did they actually do to survive? And here's a quick breakdown for you. And they're making money from content creation, charity, and child labor. Wait, what? Child labor? I mean, surely they wouldn't do that, except they kind of sort of do. Their biggest source of income is content creation. And guess what the content is? They're kids. And despite of what they argue, content creation isn't really a job, is it? Mom, content creation is a job. I mean, my 2,000 TikTok followers agree with me. Stop telling me to pay my bills. Come on. And also, that can't really be enough. So, this is what they do. These kids have to play on the street to be able to afford the instruments that is actually a very big part of their lives. But it's okay, she says, because none of it is child labor. She has looked it up, and labor laws are different when you are working together as a family, and is able to provide you the receipts. Come on, what's all this fuss about? It's not technically illegal, I have looked it up, so stop ganging up on me. I mean, I only gave them a simple choice, being in my videos and busking on the street, or starving, so it's entirely up to them. They're the ones deciding. I mean, the Jesus take the wheel energy is just insane with those two. However, what does make me feel genuinely sad is the complete lack of privacy those kids have, both from one another and from the internet. Just imagine having every single little detail of your life publicized as content. I mean, goddamn, they probably not professionally, because it seems the soccer moms have to bring their kids to the field 5 times a week. So you kind of have to pick. But you know what? If I had 10 kids, I would be influencing them very differently. Goddamn, I would plan it all out. I would have one engineer, one lawyer, one financial advisor, one accountant, just get the most useful jobs that I can think of. Okay, I mean, if we're controlling their interests, might as well ensure that they end up rich. Anyway, after rambling on about this family for far too long, let's move on to another one.
We're a family of 5, traveling full-time, living in our camper. Come take a tour. Master bedroom with a work area, closet with a washer and dryer, queen-size bed that lifts up for storage.
Nice. The parents, as usual, they have a pretty nice place. That kind of seems to be a trend so far.
Moving into the first bathroom, plenty of space with a full-size shower. Going down the stairs, the living room, couch turns into a dining room table. The island is huge, and we have a residential refrigerator, full-size pantry.
It is pretty nice. I mean, can't wait to see how much space those kids have in this massive caravan.
Going into the bunk room, the kids have plenty of space to play. There's Grace, Addison and Buttons the hamster, TJ, and their own half bath.
What exactly do you mean plenty of space to play? I mean, the storage unit in your bedroom is bigger than the space for those kids. For f***'s sake. I mean, those are cages. They have no privacy at all. But that's okay, because they have a full-size fridge, 2 sofas, and a storage unit for the parents. I mean, it is a little bit awkward when you see this.
His name is Buttons, and his cage actually is on a bunk area.
And you have no idea if she's talking about the hamster or the kid, because they're both in cages. But the space itself, it isn't such a problem, but rather what's in them. Apparently, they all had rats.
We live in a camper, and our 3 kids have 3 pet rats, and I would be absolutely lying to you if I said that it does not smell bad. Usually, it's the kids' job to clean the rat cage, but about once every month or 2, my husband and I will clean it, and it just gets really gross.
Oh yeah, just casually keeping pet rats that stink so much that they nearly puked on cleaning its cage. I mean, they have all of the diseases by now. Whatever cats can carry, they've got it. I will say my most controversial opinion here. I believe that under no circumstance an animal should be the responsibility of a child. It should always be the responsibility of an adult. And far too many times it isn't. And that's exactly how you get this face.
Absolutely lying to you if I said that it does not smell bad.
But I will share some good news with you. They have given up the van life and actually bought a house after 3 years. Goddamn. I can't believe it. I do love a happy ending. I mean, it seems that even if you get a massive, a huge caravan, the kids, they still end up being thrown in kitchen cabinets. And also, I do respect this.
Hey guys, we have always told our kids that if they ever change their minds about being on social media, all they have to do is tell us. We will ask no questions, and they owe absolutely no one an explanation.
And that is wonderful. I mean, that is exactly what these families should be doing. Protecting the privacy of those kids from the internet. Because in the end, far too often they have little to no choice whether they actually are in those videos. And as one comment says, all right, kids, smile for the camera, or we will leave you by the road. It is funny, but it's kind of too real. Anyway, that is all I have to share for you today.
All right, y'all. So I wanted to show y'all that van life. I thought it was crazy. So shouts out to Jackie. Alchemize your energy. Understand about like these things that's going on in this world. Van life is not what we think. If you just now joined this video, please subscribe and then hit the replay button. It's a lot of information on this video. You know, you get to see the RV life. You know what I'm saying? People that got the money, them $100,000 RVs, how they living. You know what I'm saying? And it seemed like it's cool. I'm gonna get an RV. That'd be cool. No, it's kind of still restrictive too. You know what I'm saying? They might be traveling around the world, but nah. So shouts out. Thank you guys for joining me today. I should be coming up at like about 6 o'clock with Calvin Johnson. We're going to be talking about the latest lawsuits coming up. A$AP Rocky, P. Diddy, Jay-Z, all that stuff. I'm just waiting to get the okay from him if he's going to still do it at 7 or 6 or whatever. So look out for the stream coming up. Make sure you subscribe so you get the notification for that upcoming stream. Peace out and much love, guys.
Alchemize your energy. Darling, let your spirit be free. Don't give up. Keep keep on pushing through. Now is the time, it's all up to you. Alchemize your energy, my friend. Let your spirit be free. Don't give up, keep on pushing through. Now is the time, it's all up to you. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, we will always take flight. Keep on pushing through the darkness of night. There's no limit, let's reach for the sky. Shine so bright, from darkness to light.